Hello, everyone. Welcome to an Apple a Day. This is your host, Apple here. I hope you all are doing well. We're going to go ahead and start off with our 5-minute meditation. Let's get into it. My racing thoughts are disappearing. I'm working through this challenge just as I've worked through others. Every day I am getting calmer. I replace fear with love. I am strong. I inhale peace and exhale panic. I am allowing my thoughts to pass with ease. I breathe out tension. I am living the life of my dreams. I am conquering my mind with positive thoughts. All of my worries are melting away. I am ready to face the challenges of the day. I can handle these feelings. I can overcome my anxiety using my inner strengths. I am confident I can achieve any goal. I take deep breaths to bring peace into my body. My thoughts are calm, knowing that I am doing my best. I am relaxed and ready to move forward. I experience a sense of peace with every breath I take. I have control over my mind and filter the thoughts that bring me down. I can see how experiences make me stronger. I am compassionate with myself when I fail. It's normal to feel unstable. Stressful situations help me grow and overcome more obstacles. Peace and happiness are inside of me. I'm going to overcome this obstacle. I am great at all I do. I feel inner peace throughout my body. I release negative thoughts to make room for positive ones. I can relax and be thankful for what I have now. I stay strong and positive when times are hard. No matter what comes my way, I can handle it. I remain grounded. I welcome every positive change. I will listen to my breathing. With each breath, I become more relaxed. I am doing enough. I often relax my body. I am greater than the overwhelming sum of my thoughts. I let go of my resistance to the situation. I am handling every task on my to-do list with ease. I know I let myself get down when I think too much, but that's normal. I slow down the pace of my daily life. My mind is becoming stronger. Calm is on my side when I go through a rough patch in life. I remain calm through stressful times. I know my panic thoughts are only in my head. I let go of tense thoughts. Overthinking is the biggest cause of unhappiness. I know that all is well in my world. I am more than my emotions. I will fill my heart with the peace of meditation. I give myself grace when I don't feel well emotionally. I am capable of solving any problem. I allow my muscles to relax and release tension. I slow my breathing to slow my racing thoughts. I embrace all of my human emotions. And that will wrap up our 5-minute meditation. Let's go ahead and get into the episode topic. So, this week, our episode topic question is, where in life do I have trouble saying no? So, a lot of times we find ourselves in positions where we just don't necessarily say no to, maybe a friend, a family member, someone we're trying to impress, get in their good graces, any type of situation like that. Sometimes we have a hard time saying no because, we want to do good or we want to do something for that person, but a lot of times that comes at the cost of something of our own self, whether that be our health, our time commitment, something else of self. A lot of times it comes with a compromise or a sacrifice of self. And while it is a compassionate and kind thing to do, to sacrifice self for another, it is also part of self-care and loving yourself, self-love, to know boundaries and to set boundaries on what self-sacrifice that you're willing to give for any specific individual, depending on their role in your life or your role in their life, right? So understanding boundaries is one of the biggest things that people don't come to terms with, in the sense that they don't, recognize themselves what they're okay with doing. So it could be for the simple fact that, you overcommit to your job and, you say yes to new assignments or projects when you really don't have the time, or, you've been planning to, maybe get away, or, just focus more on your own project, your own work, or your own stuff outside of work, So I think it's a really good thing to establish boundaries on how much you're willing to give for any specific role. So for work, sometimes you do have the opportunity to, say, hey, I can't work on this assignment or this project, I already have a lot on my plate. Can you pass it on to another team member, or maybe split the responsibilities to multiple team members so that it's not all on me, kind of thing. Sometimes you do have the ability to do that. Sometimes you don't. That's when it's unfortunate that you basically need to understand how to get through those situations. Time management, organization, keeping yourself grounded, not allowing the stress of the job to, eat away at you. If you are pressed for time or deadlines, always do what is going to be coming up first, or what's going to be taking the most. Do what's so there's two things. So for work, usually the thing that's going to be due soon, the deadline is coming up the soonest. That's what you're going to want to tackle first. And then bigger projects, or workloads, you're going to want to split those up. The same thing goes for school, in this type of sense as well. When you have things that are going to be done sooner, have a deadline coming up sooner, you want to tackle those things first, and then you want to tackle big projects into tiny bits. What this also helps with is, like, when you are able to tackle larger projects in smaller bits, you do feel like you're doing a lot more, you feel a sense of accomplishment because you're moving towards your end goal every single day, that you're working towards that deadline. You don't feel like you're not doing anything, you're not really contributing, you're not making progress. And sometimes it feels like, even when you have it split up in small parts, you don't feel like you're making progress. You feel like you need to do it all at once. And I advise not doing that, simply for the fact that a lot of times when you do this type of method where you want to rush, you get burnt out. Like 75 to like 90% of the project being done, the workload being done, and then it's like that last 10%, like you wait until like the deadline to do it, and you never know what's going to happen at that deadline. So it's always best to, tackle a little bit every day. Just keep yourself busy, make sure that you stay on top of it so that it gets done. And don't try to rush it so that you stop yourself from getting burnt out. A lot of times when it's for school, right, you have a big exam coming up or whatever, you might be trying to, cram. Cramming doesn't work. It's not an effective tool for you actually to know the information, to actually learn the information. It doesn't work. For you actually recalling it in a short amount of time, it can be effective to an extent, right? But for long-term understanding, it doesn't work. It's always better that if you're going to be doing stuff like that you also wouldn't break that into parts. Study on and off. You can use like the Pomodoro method, where it's like 25-minute sessions of studying with like a 5-minute break. So like every 30 minutes you have a 5-minute break kind of thing. Or within 30 minutes you have 25 minutes of studying and 5-minute break. That's really effective. There are other methods out there, of course. But it's always best to like find out what's best for you, how you work, how you understand things, how you're able to get a sense of accomplishment, as well as put yourself to work, how to stop yourself from procrastinating. All this has to do with like how it's going to relate to you setting your boundaries. So if you're procrastinating on setting your boundaries with people and your relationships with people, they may, you give them an inch and they take a mile, as the saying goes, right? So if you say yes to one project or covering for a coworker one time and they have, an excuse, you're like, okay, I understand, whatever, go do whatever it is you have to do. But they keep coming back with like similar excuses, or they keep upping the excuse in terms of like how crazy it is of an excuse. Usually that happens when you don't set proper boundaries, where you procrastinate on setting those proper boundaries. They feel like it's an out for them not doing their work or something, or they feel like so they can just, give that work to you, and, you're not getting paid extra for them doing their work, other than, a thanks from that individual maybe, but you're not getting paid to be doing your work and somebody else's work. So it's always very, very good for you to set that self-respect and that boundary ahead of time, so people don't walk over you like that. It can be transferred into relationships as well. People do stuff that's, makes you uncomfortable, whether it's by saying something or their actions. It's always better to, nip it in the bud before it, gets to be a bigger problem, even when it's like smaller things in terms of like arguments and stuff. If it's just small disagreements you can have, sometimes it is better to just nip it in the bud before it becomes a bigger problem, before it can carry over onto bigger things. It's always better to do that. It's better in the long run for relationships, both platonic and romantic, that you address problems when they arise. Part of creating healthy boundaries is, understanding what you're okay with, what you're comfortable with. how far you're willing to extend yourself to care and help and aid other people without jeopardizing self, without, bringing harm to self. And that could be mental, physical, emotional, you know, any or all of those. You want to make sure that you, is always in the right mind and right state to help you, but also to help others. If you just have just a little bit of energy, you're really, really stressed, it's probably not going to be a good idea for you to go and, take on helping a bunch of other people, if they're capable and able, when you already have your plate full. If the plate's not full, that's a different thing. But you always want to make sure that you have enough energy, you have enough, battery for you to perform the functions for you. You don't want to get burned out and not able to, do anything for yourself because you're always doing for others. And the best way to handle that is, to take time off for yourself and, appreciate yourself. The best way to go about it, if it's stuff with friends, family, significant others, it's just always best, come out right forth and say it, be very open and honest about it. Hey, I need, some me time. I'm gonna be, just reading. I'm just gonna be chilling by myself. I prefer not to, have any distractions. I just want to, chill. And 9 times out of 10, the people that actually care about you and your well-being, they will be very understanding of that. I say 9 times out of 10 because sometimes even when people care about your well-being, they won't be understanding of it as much as you need them to be, because they need their stuff done too. They have stuff that needs to be done too. But always make sure that self is good and in a right place so that you're able to do that. Right? One of the things that people, I feel, don't know is that a lot of times when people get asked questions, they expect a yes. And when they get a no, it's a rejection, refusal of any type of way. People forget that, no is also an answer. Like, the choices are yes and yes, no, and then sometimes maybe. But at the core, the answer is yes or no. And a lot of people forget that no is an answer. I think it's really important to identify the people that are around you and how they take no for an answer. That means an evaluation of your friendships, evaluation of your family groups, evaluation of everybody that you interact with. Understand how they receive no and compare it to how they receive a yes. So, for example, if you're always willing to help out a coworker, fill out some paperwork or whatever, and you always say yes, and then one time they say no, you say no, and they kind of just blow up on you. Like, you always do this for me, whatever. And it's just like, interesting, right? The reason why I say to evaluate that no, how people take no as an answer in your friendships and your family groups and anyone you interact with, is because you get to sense people's sense of entitlement. And it can be entitlement to your time, entitlement to your abilities or talents, and entitlement to you and your presence in general. I've seen a lot more lately. A lot of people are very entitled to others, and we're not in a day and age where you own anybody else. So for me, it's just very weird to see people entitled to, somebody else's finances, their talents, their skills, their time, anything. But I think it's really, really important for you to get to know people's sense of entitlement as it relates to you, so you know how to move forward with them in the future. You can, either spend more time with them if they're not, feeling entitled, or you can spend less time with them depending on how it is portrayed. But I think it's a very, very interesting and very, very insightful thing for you to check and understand and look at within your relationships with others. So, another aspect of having trouble of saying no is not necessarily no, but it's like a play on no. It's not knowing the answers, not knowing all the answers, right? Sometimes, more so a lot of times, you can't help everyone. You don't have the time, you don't have the energy to help everyone. Even if you, have it in your heart to want to be able to assist and aid and help anyone that comes across your path, you realistically can't help everyone. Realistically, you can't. There's a certain amount of aid, help, or guidance that you can extend to others. So, for example, if I personally don't have the time to do something for somebody else, I might not have the time to do the work with them or do the step-by-step with them. But at the very least, if I'm knowledgeable on something, I can, direct them to where to go, direct them on how to find it, direct them on the steps so that they can find it for themselves, It helps in others being self-sufficient and understanding and learning where to look and where to find things. But it's also, setting a healthy boundary for yourself when in two scenarios. So it could be a stranger. So, like, for example, if I'm in the store and somebody, a stranger, asks me where I can find something because there's no representatives or store associates around, I can either, direct them where I can think it would be, or sometimes, I think I saw somewhere that was done a lot in the South where, if someone asks where something is, there's two ways to go about it. Either person A will either direct them exactly to where it is, like by following them or showing them. Say they want to know where the mustard is or something, they'll direct them on the shelf where it is by, getting them to follow them. Or they'll just tell them, hey, it's on aisle 7, in the middle, around this place, between this condiment and this condiment, whatever. Both are very, both are helpful and kind things. But I've seen that, the people that go out of their way to, like, show you where something is, I don't know, it just comes across as you're being kinder to that person, and it's not that you're not being kind doing it the other way. It just comes that you're being more personal with it. Hey, even if I'm giving you a description of it, maybe you're not gonna understand this description. So, in addition to the description I am giving you, I'm also gonna, show you where to look so that you can find it next time if you don't find it right away, and you don't get frustrated, from directions. What this helps with, like, if, say, for example, someone tells you to go find, gives you directions on how to find something, and you go there and you don't find it still, it gets you a little frustrated because it's like, did they tell me the wrong thing? Am I just not looking hard enough? Do I have to go find them again? Or now I have to go and ask another person because I don't know still where this thing is. I can't find it. Um, it really just takes burden off them having to do more to find that thing. And the burden is not, them necessarily being lazy about going to find it. It's just like maybe it's somebody that's really, really shy and, they're not used to talking in public. They have social anxiety. Um, so they find it very awkward when they have to go and ask strangers for help or assistance to do anything. And they didn't find it the first time, so now they have to ask again, right? It can be scary for people like that. But in general, you doing that thing saves yourself and that other person time, because the other person can come back and ask you, hey, I didn't find it, can you come and direct me to it? You save yourself time by just showing them in the first place. And they appreciate it because you made it personal to them, and you made it so that you actually wanted them to find what it is that they're looking for. You took that upon yourself to make sure that they would find what they were looking for with your aid. Right? So that's like, you know, something that you can extend beyond yourself, where you still create a healthy boundary. A lot of times I find myself, if I don't have the time or the energy to, actually do the social interaction to, guide somebody through it, I'll tell them the steps. And if they need assistance, then I'll be more willing to, go through it with them in that way. But sometimes, a lot of times, I just like to do a step-by-step guide through for the first parts, and then whatever else they find or have questions on, I can probably answer the questions if I know the answers. But I've also learned that it's okay to not know the answers. So when someone asks you something, the opposite of, being helped in the store or whatever, right? They ask you where it is, you can just say no. Hey, I'm not familiar with this space. I don't really know where to find stuff like that. You'd have to ask somebody more familiar in the area or more familiar with the layout of the store. You can say no. And you saying no, it can either be you setting the boundary of you don't want to, help for whatever reason. It's valid. It's your time that you're going to be spending to help the person in the first place. Or you can just say no for the sake of saying no. Like, you don't have to help anybody. You don't have to do anything. You came in the store to shop, get your groceries, get back home, make the food, eat it, watch some TV, and then go to sleep. That's what you came in there to do, right? You're not required to, help anybody out. But the reason why I say it's nice that you're able to say no is because you can have either scenarios whether you're not comfortable helping someone, you're not confident in your abilities to help someone, or maybe you just don't want to. And they could, there's never a way that they'll be able to tell why you're saying no in the first place. So it's it's safe either way, I think the last part of that idea of understanding a certain amount of aid and guidance or help you're willing to extend to others is controlling your availability. So for the most part, I usually have a free schedule, but I fill in my free schedule. I say free as in like I have hours that are open that aren't like anything planned in my schedule, but they're things that I'm doing at all times, right? So like I fill things into my schedule wherever there's free time because I don't want to waste time in the day. I just don't like it. I don't like feeling like I'm not doing anything. I don't like feeling like I'm unproductive by just wasting time, So for me, I control my availability that way. And when it comes to like hanging out with friends or anything like that, I always do it on their time. What time is cool with them? What time is good for you? Because most 9 times out of the time, I'm able to rearrange my time to fit around them. And I control my availability by, I don't say like a wide open range. Oh, I'm free from this time to this time, so that they can, if I have something else I want to do or I need to do, they don't take up all my time with that, right? I always ask, what's time good for you? I'll meet you here. We'll go do this activity, etc., etc., etc. It'll take however long, and then it will be out, you know. But that's my way of controlling my availability, of others. But I just don't give people access to my schedule in that way, so that they can trample over because I know how people are, or how they have been in the past towards me, taking up my time, and I don't have time to waste. So I don't give them the ability to waste it by controlling that small aspect. And I think that will wrap up this episode topic. So the last thing for today is we named 3 good things. So I have an announcement that I'll share probably next week's podcast, but I have an announcement. So we're gonna count that as one good thing because y'all probably find out next podcast episode what exactly it is. 2, I was able to get a lot of paperwork done that has to do with the announcement. And I was looking for answers for stuff, and I've just throughout this week I've had people just being very, very helpful, very, very kind to me. So I'm very, very appreciative of that. And I would say 3. I'm pretty healthy. I mean, I got a new scale. It's all fancy like and whatnot. I'm a lot healthier than I thought I was. And one of the reasons that makes me feel good is because I'm used to hearing, like you're fat, you're obese, you're overweight, I'm used to hearing very negative comments just in general about my body. Or just in general about me. Just very used to negative comments. So it's nice to have that to solidify my mind, I knew I wasn't this, but this is, physical proof that I'm not this kind of thing. So I think that's really cool. Besides that, I went shopping a little bit to prepare for stuff for announcement, which is good thing number 1. Everything's tying back to thing number 1. But yeah, I'm super happy right now. I wish I could tell you guys, but just know I'm super happy right now. I'm glad everything's, kind of falling in my favor, and God's blessing me, God's blessing me in all these ways. It's truly beautiful, and I couldn't have asked for a better life to be living, to be honest. So I would just like to thank you guys for listening. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of the day. Be sure to tweet me at an apple a day with 2 eyes, or email me at an apple a day with 2 eyes at gmail.com. If you have any topics, questions, hints, anything you want to share with me, talk about, obviously you can send it in anonymous. But yeah, I look forward to next week and sharing this next step of my life with you guys. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Apple, and I will see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye bye.